Content presented in Cheshire Corners is for educational and informational purposes only. Please consult a legal professional if you have any questions or concerns about the content of this disclaimer, this series, or the legal implications surrounding psychedelic substances in your jurisdiction.
Welcome to Cheshire Corners. My name is Rita Tsalyuk, and let's trip together through the looking glass.
Hello.
Hello.
All right. So I know we're hopping in a little cold here. So normally we would have met before your experience. Just fill me in on some of the boring logistical things. Like, how much did you take and what was the dose?
So I started on Saturday, and I took the 300 dose, and I did it here at home in my bedroom with a soundtrack that was set for ketamine heart opening, and wore the eye mask and went forward.
Okay. All right. And that it was 300, the oral troche, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. And was anyone with you, Jade?
Yes. Well, not with me in the room, but my partner was here in the home as my person.
Okay.
In case I needed him.
Okay. All right. And when you went into the session, first of all, I also just feel funny. This is your first time meeting me. Is there anything that you want to know about me or ask me?
If you want to give me just a little bio of where you're from and how long you've been doing this, I did complete the Almadelic training, so I feel like I know you a little bit for at least like a couple hours. But
okay, sure. Well, I'm Erica Zelfand, Dr. Erica. You can just call me Erica. And I've been working, well, I joke I'm a recovering primary care physician. So after about slugging it out for about 5 years, I understood why a lot of doctors are having a hard time staying in primary care. And I also realized that a lot of my patients were struggling with mental health and mood imbalances. And because the American healthcare system has the gaps in it that it does, a lot of that burden of care falls on primary care doctors. And so I held on to that bit. And after I stopped doing primary care, I stuck with the mental health component of my practice. And I just felt like even though I'm trained in conventional medicine and alternative medicine, I still felt like something was missing in my ability to really support my patients. And I started doing additional training and research, and through my own personal journey discovered psychedelics, and then thought, wait a minute, could this be the thing that could help my patients? And that started as kind of like a secret underground curiosity, and bada bing, bada boom, I'm out of the closet, and now it's my specialty. So,
love it.
Yeah. So ketamine is one of the tools in my toolkit. I've seen it help a lot of people. And I've also seen the ketamine experience be really confusing for people, and we wade through it together and mine the gold in it.
Nice.
So I want to say, if whatever your experience was, if you came out of that and you're like, ketamine's great, wonderful. If you came out of that and you're like, ketamine sucks, I never want to take it again, I'm still excited to work with you and support you.
Perfect.
It's really like, it's all fair game. So you don't need to sugarcoat any of that, whatever your experience was. I'm not a zealot of any medicine. So
agree.
You can let me have it straight.
I will.
That's good talk. Okay. So any other questions based on that intro?
No, just thank you.
Yeah. My pleasure. And I also, Jade, I love my job. So thank you.
Oh, good.
I'm really honestly enjoy doing this work. And thank you for letting me have the honor of, it's a really vulnerable thing to do an integration session, and I take that really seriously. So I'm trying not to say it's all welcome here, because I know that's like the trope that every therapist is supposed to say, and it is like whatever comes up is welcome, and we'll roll with it.
Perfect.
Okay, cool. Okay, so before you took the ketamine, what made you want to take it?
Well, I've dabbled in other psychedelics, and working with Almadelic, I wanted to really experience what a client is going to experience before working with them. So that was my main, just open mind, open heart, getting in there and just seeing what it's about. Firsthand experience.
Okay, just a little tour of the moon to see what the fuss is about.
Yes.
I like it. And was there any, going into the experience, was there anything in your personal realm that you were hoping, oh, maybe we can touch on this, or maybe it'll help with that? Is there any other kind of background?
I felt like I wanted to maybe go into more of a headspace and be more intuitive, and see if it did anything to like open that, or just being in touch with myself and just see like, what am I thinking? What am I doing? I don't even know some of the time. So that was kind of the goal, just really open mind. Where are you going to take me? Like, you take the wheel and I'm just going to go.
Cool. And where did it take you? What happened?
Well, I think with most people starting something new, there's that element, am I doing it right? So I did, I followed the instructions and scored the 3 little pieces off of the 1 piece. And so it was a 300 dose. I put it in between my cheek and my lower jaw, and I kept it in there for between 15, 20 minutes, because I think I started my timer late. But I kept thinking like, okay, like, am I going to know to take it out? Like, am I going to be with it? And what's going to happen? So I did manage to stay afloat the 15, 20 minutes. I was able to spit it out and get all the residue and saliva out. And then I thought, well, oh no, what if I did it too soon? Or I don't know. And I worry by nature too. I'm a worrier. So it was second nature to just start trying to figure out something to worry about. But everything worked out fine. And the ketamine let me know, no, you did it right. And here we go. And it was subtle. I did have the music playing, and it was no vocals. It was all heart opening, either hertz, healing hertz, or I think the beats, the
Diurnal beat.
Yes, thank you. And so I just kind of focused on that and just took a journey with the music.
Okay. And you said, did I spit it out too soon? Like, is it working? And then you said the ketamine let me know it was working. So how did you know that it was working? How did you know you were in the medicine?
Well, I think it was very subtle. It wasn't like a push or a jump. I started to kind of feel, I don't want to say floaty, because I didn't feel like I was like hovering above my body or anything like that, but I did feel definitely softer, like I wasn't as heavy in the bed. I was lighter. That's a better word for it. Lighter, softer, and then kind of not warm. Temperature didn't change, but if fuzzy, maybe a little. Definitely felt like a blanket, but without the heat, just like a nice comfort.
And then you said, and then the journey began. So like, where'd you go? What happened?
Well, and that was what was so kind of, I kept, it wasn't like I was waiting for anything like sparks of light or anything, but I think I wasn't aware that I was having slight visuals. So I had the mask on, so it was completely dark, but it was almost like waves of darkness, different degrees of darkness. And then also maybe the best way to describe it would be fractals, kind of. So it was definitely not shapes, but just like shifts. And like if these are lights, just imagine that, just kind of working themselves and just doing stuff. And I just kind of followed that, kind of like I was watching with my third eye. And I think that goes back to like trying to be more intuitive and just like, am I seeing something? Because there's, no light coming in. So there is something, I'm seeing something.
Yeah. And what was the feeling as you were watching the darkness in your third eye?
I would say wonder, and just excitement to see something, and then maybe a little focus to try to, again, that analytical mind trying to figure it out, or, maybe pick it apart a little bit, but just honing in and then realizing that, hey, that is something. Like, it's not my eyes playing tricks on me. It's not like floaties in my eye looking at the sun or something. Like, there's actual little things floating around.
How wonderful and exciting to get to witness the floating darkness in one's third eye. That's not a typical daily activity.
No.
So then what happened, Jade?
I would say that was kind of the feel for a while. The music did change, and there was one song that I was like, well, I won't listen to this playlist again because it was like piano or something, and I thought it was jarring. So I was like, I don't necessarily like that, but it didn't like sour my mood or distort anything. It was just like, but luckily it passed. And so next song started, and it was still kind of just that flow, like that mellowness, that hum, that kind of just hovering and being. And that was probably the bulk of it. And then there was one part where I thought I fell asleep and I was dreaming. But then later with reflection, I wonder if I was just seeing different visuals, or maybe I did fall asleep. I fall asleep during meditation all the time, so it's possible. But that part was, I'll do my best to describe it. So I was laying down still, but in my sight, it was almost like someone was walking by. And when I went to look at them, and it was again kind of like the black and white kind of visual, when I went to focus in on them, they kind of shifted and melted away. But again, it didn't scare me. There wasn't anything menacing about it. It was just kind of like, it's here, it's there, and then it's gone.
Yeah. That's really interesting of, these themes of, I'm hearing like the way the whole thing started with like a lighter, softer, and then you use the word fuzzy. And then this dynamic of like the things you're seeing the minute you try and focus, which is like a sharp acuity thing, like the fuzziness persists. And I don't need to like throw my theories on your experience. Do you make anything of that?
When I sat down and talked to my partner about it, I thought it was one of a few instances where I thought, this is how mindfulness is. This is a personification of mindfulness, and like letting it in, letting it be, and then letting it go. And it was like the visual version of that.
Yeah. And then is that something like how does that come up or not in your day-to-day life? Like letting it in, letting it be, letting it go.
I preach it, I believe in it. I love it, but I am a ruminator. I am a repeat offender. I love to rehash something and try to see meaning or anything. And I thought for that to be my main takeaway was super powerful for me. And the ease of it with the medicine was really kind of just awe-inspiring.
I'm realizing that, like, as I'm hearing, almost feel like I'm getting the play-by-play, and I'm wondering, did that come up elsewhere in the journey, the theme of, like, dear ruminator, let it be, let it go, let it be fuzzy. Like, did it come up elsewhere in the experience?
It did, a little bit later, and I couldn't tell you when because time wasn't too much of an issue or essence or any kind of wonder.
Right. And time, it doesn't exist anyways, but yeah.
Exactly. So I wasn't trying to keep it. But later on, I did have a couple other images and a few like random thoughts. And it was the same exact play. Like it came in, that's what it is. And then it was gone. And the ease was what was the continuation, like through all of it, was just the ease of that process that I've never experienced. Like I can have a thought and, mull it over for a couple seconds and be like, that's not useful, let's keep going. But to not even want to mull it over was new for me.
And do you remember what any of those images were?
Yeah, I did have one that was pretty profound. So when I was a young girl, I grew up with my mom and my great aunt. And so she was kind of like a grandmother to me, that maternal figure. And so she was like in my life until my mid-20s. And when she passed, it was hard, and I was in school, so I don't think I probably grieved as much as I wanted to, but I had to carry on. And I had like an image of her, and she was like elderly, but she wasn't like decrepit or anything. And it wasn't like she was in pain or anything. And she was just like doing something. And she was just being, and just seeing her like that, like warmed my heart, but it didn't hurt. And I thought that was beautiful.
Mm-hmm. What was her name?
Her name was Carrie with an IE.
Carrie.
She used to always say that. It's Carrie with an IE.
Carrie with an IE.
So CARRIE. Yes.
Okay. So seeing you said great aunt, yeah?
Yes.
So seeing your great aunt Carrie, what was that like for you?
It wasn't surprising, which is surprising because, I have an altar and I have her urn on my altar. So I feel like she's with me all the time, but I don't ever really see images of her. And so I think to see her and not hurt, not be sad, not just to have her be was just really, it was heartwarming, heart opening, exactly what I was going for unintentionally.
What other kinds of images did you have?
I would say that was the most profound. But other than that, just other series of the fractals, just shapes, not colors, which was really strange. Now, seeing my great aunt, I don't know if that was necessarily in color. I feel like that was more of a realistic image, but everything else, I didn't really see very many colors. And I thought that was kind of nuanced. I didn't know what to expect, so I wasn't looking for them, but it was really kind of monotone, but not in a drab way. It was, like I said, different shades of black, somehow shadows over the darkness.
What do you make of that?
I don't know. I really don't. I'm like, I don't know. Am I I am a black and white thinker sometimes, you know, but I try to stay in the gray. So maybe that was what was coming up. I don't know.
Yeah. I love hearing about everyone's different experiences with this medicine. And something that I could have said at the start was that sometimes we have these experiences with ketamine and we can draw so much meaning from them. And sometimes we have these experiences on ketamine where it's like, yeah, I don't know. And then I saw a cat eating pizza and then there were shooting stars and none of this makes any sense. None of this content seems relevant to me. And it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's not to negate anyone's experience, but the medicine still works on your brain and your nervous system. And sometimes the content holds this huge door for eureka moments and breakthrough. And sometimes the content is just entertaining, but we still get the benefits of the neuroplasticity and the emotional equilibrium that comes. So as these interesting details are coming up and I'm kind of like knocking on the door of each one, I'm very curious about all of them. And if sometimes I think clients sit there and wonder, like, why is she making such a big deal of this? It's really not important. There's room for that too. And I think there's something very touching for me about seeing Carrie, that you saw Carrie in your experience and that it wasn't sad for you. Right? And this is someone whose urn is on your altar.
I did not intend to cry nor moan. How dare you?
Little did you know, it's what we came here to do.
Right.